Hey, what's going on, guys? Joe Neal here, back again to recap Lemos versus Andrade fight card for us. And I had a wild night. I live in the tornado capital of the world, basically, Oklahoma, and so we had some pretty close calls. It seemed like for us, but it's like I said last week, through rain, shine, and all that mess, I'm gonna be here recapping the fights. So here we are, and let's get to the fights. Main event, Lemos versus Andrade. And this was a strawweight fight that was kind of interesting to me, like at least from like a matchmaking perspective, because I'm always trying to get like a little insight on why they pair two fighters up like the way they do. And I thought this was one of the more interesting ways of doing it because Andrade is she's coming back to the strawweight division, the best division for women's fighters. They pair her up with top 10 fighter, or literally 10, Amanda Lemos, against a Brazilian fight. And, I was kind of interested to see, like, okay, it's not bad matchmaking. I'm kind of curious to see where she is after all this time. It hasn't been all that long, it feels like, but still, you kind of have to wonder after, going from, oh, I can, I'm not having to lose this extra 10 pounds to having to lose it again. Like, that's got to be a mental, like, just mess going on. But out the gate, Andrade is uncharacteristically patient, and she's throwing out an actually pretty solid inside low kick, or she throws one, but it was good enough to make me go, man, why just add this to your like regular arsenal, because it would really help her set up her big left hook and her monster right hand that we all know she has. She has just insane power. It would even help her get takedowns like she wants to do. She wants to pick up girls and slam them. But Lemos is kind of being methodical, and she's using her long kicks to kind of, pressure her and just kind of move forward, get things going. And also just she's landing some hard outside low kicks as well. And it's really clear early on from like the outset, like that Lemos is the one that wants to land a big bomb, and she wants to use these long kicks and set it up. I can actually dig it. I think it's a pretty simple game plan. I think that's actually pretty effective. Using these kicks, I talked about it like weeks prior with how JoJo Calderwood sets up, or JoJo Wood now sets up her low kicks, or uses her long kicks to kind of try and force you to back up or engage, where she can then clinch you or get you to the cage, where then she can then clinch you again. Of course. And then here she's using it to kind of force an engage where then she can land a big bomb, or force you to cover up differently again where she can land a big bomb. Especially taking away the mobility on Andrade is very smart, I think, with those low kicks. And around like 2 minutes, around like the 2 minute mark, Lemos is actually the one who's been throwing the big bombs, and the great low kicks have been the reason why. Like she's used, with the lack of mobility, less threat, so she can kind of load up from a further distance, not have to worry about, someone just leaping in with all their mobility still intact. Andrade goes for a clinch after Lemos misses a punch, and gets a standing arm triangle. Did I read that right? Yeah. Odd. I found that to be a little a little odd. I was like, oh, okay. Well, then she's gonna like take her down with it. I've seen this position usually, just like, as a transitionary state, you see it. Lemos isn't actually trying to change positions here. She isn't trying to like, force a change in clinch to alleviate neck pressure. And she's more so just kind of hoping Andrade lets go. And Andrade, I thought she was going to use it to take her to the ground, and which then would give you a little bit of moment where Lemos can get out, in fairness. And Lemos is also waiting on this to happen, but it doesn't happen. And Andrade gets the tap out. Standing arm triangle. I am impressed and also a little confused by it. From like a former grappler's perspective, I'm like, what? That's what you do to defend against it? But then again, I'm talking about Amanda Lemos, who would probably kill me in one shot if she found me. So I'm not saying that actually anymore. It was kind of a pretty good one, honestly. It wasn't very long. It was like maybe 4 minutes, but it was a pretty good scrap. Andrade makes a case for being back in the top 5 of the division, and I think for Lemos, maybe Amanda Hill, or not Amanda Hill, Angela Hill again, but I think I think she announced something on Twitter where she can't for 9 months, if you catch my drift. I don't want to assume anything, but I think I remember seeing that. I should have checked beforehand. Oh well, you know. But another fight I actually thought of that makes more sense to me is Tisha Torres. I think Tisha Torres and her could have a great fun fight. Tisha Torres just fought recently and lost to Mackenzie Dern. Speaking of Mackenzie Dern, I think that's who Jessica Andrade should fight next. I think, she's ranked number 4. Andrade is probably going to be ranked like 6, 7. Maybe, I don't think she'll just take the 10 spot. I think they're going to move a lot of people, down the rankings for Andrade to kind of move back in. And I think Dern makes sense. I think that's like the highest ranked person I could think of that makes logical sense to me. Like Marina Rodriguez getting a title shot next, or after Carla Esparza, of course. And who knows what's going to happen if Esparza wins. If she wins, maybe they do an immediate rematch. You kind of need to have these things mentally in place to kind of, create a solid line to the champion, or whoever the champion may be. Co-main event, Clay Guida versus Claudio Puelles. And, Guida, I talked about with Korean Zombie a while back, Korean Zombie is one of the last members of the old guard, and I mentioned Clay Guida on top of that because I knew he was fighting relatively after. He's going against the 26 streaking Peruvian lightweight and 14-year age gap. And who knows what the age gap is in fight years. And early on, Guida has done his homework. He's circling away from the southpaw power kicks, and then he, goes for a right hand, gets a takedown. Classic Clay Guida. And Puelles really shows off some jiu-jitsu that I personally love, that like really active guard. He goes for an omoplata, doesn't get it. Goes for a triangle, doesn't get it. Goes for an armbar, doesn't get it. Goes for a triangle armbar setup, and it looks really tight. And I thought, oh man, this is it. Okay, all right then. But the grittiness of Guida, the grittiness, I want to enunciate that correctly, was really like good. Is really strong here as he pulls out. He still has his left arm trapped, but he even lets out one of his like trademark burps. We've all seen that clip of him burping in his corner. It's awesome. And it's that left arm's trapped for a long time though on the ground. Eventually he gets it free, tries to get the ground and pound going, and it felt like mid elbow for Guida. Like as he cocked and is going for an elbow at normal speed, by the way, Puelles just flips, goes for a knee bar, gets a tap. This is I have it here, his 3rd knee bar in the UFC. 3rd knee bar in the UFC. 5 straight wins. 3 of them are knee bars. That is insane in the modern MMA game, as everyone has. It isn't like the 90s where I got taken down once. I think I'm considered a B-level grappler now. Everyone knows how to grapple. Everyone knows how to have. Almost everyone has some jiu-jitsu skill. Almost everyone has wrestling skills. And this guy's getting a very hard submission to get in modern MMA, especially with how dangerous leg locks are. He's like a not dickhead version of Husamar Palhares, and I love that. Like, it was super awesome. For Puelles, why not Jalen Turner? That fight sounds fun. With at the stages where they are in their career, I'm okay with them having, these 2 prospects potentially cannibalizing the other. I think that's that's okay for me personally. Lando Vannata versus Charles Jourdain. This is a 145-pound matchup, and I'll explain why I bring this fight up. But early on, good feint attempts, very smooth stuff from Vannata. Like his kicking feints were very, very technical and very cool. Vannata goes in for a takedown off of a Jourdain step-up switch kick, and Lando does get his neck caught, but yes, he gets side control, and Jourdain gives it up. Jourdain does get him to his guard, but then in a scramble to try and get back to his feet, Vannata takes back side control, and then they scramble back up again. Pretty quick grappling, and I loved it. I personally loved it. And then now Vannata's like looking really clean on the striking. Like he's landing really good boxing combinations, really good kicks. His defensive movement is looking very good. And as soon as I was sitting there watching, I was like, his head movement looks really good. Jourdain switches stances again, something I preach about a ton here that I love. Switches stances and throws a laser of a left straight, and it drops Vannata. Venata like trying to get up, has his neck out. Jourdain gets a hold of it after some fighting, gets the tap. Great one-arm guillotine. It's really good stuff. And for Jourdain, I think he just lost to Juicy J not that long ago, so I kind of want to be, but I really want to be like, just give him someone in the top 15 now. It's like Ilya Tapura, sounds fun. Jai Herbert, actually, I just now thought of. I didn't even write it down, but Jai Herbert just lost to Taporia, and I think that sounds fun. But another name I thought of was Gavin Tucker, one of my boys, one of the guys I really like watching fight. I think those two sound fun. Jourdain's really fun. But Venata has fought at 155 before, and Guida has fought at 145 before. They used to be former training partners. I don't know if they still are, so that probably won't happen, but it makes sense, and it sounds kind of fun to me in my head. Lastly, we have Dwight Grant versus, I'm going to butcher this last name, Sergey Kandojka. Pretty good scrap. Just a brawl. They just kind of beat the hell out of each other. Very little kicks, just punching each other. Grant was trying to use his jab and kind of land some pressure with bombs early. And as Kandojko is using a really good check left hook. And I was kind of wondering if something caught him though early as White started backing off, and it seemed like he's just kind of leaning back, throwing hooks at an awkward angle. It's a little awkward. It wasn't really working in my mind, but it was landing. They both drop each other in round one. They literally have a Dan Hardy, Carlos Condit moment, but they both throw left hooks. And Grant goes down later on in the round. I think 30 seconds left. Grant throws a beautiful cross counter over a Kandojko jab, drops him. Fun stuff. But then in the anytime they got in the pocket, they were just throwing shots. It was kind of wild. Second round comes along, and Kandojko Grant catches a kick from Kandojko, drops him. Kandojko just pops right back up. It's like, okay, none of that. And eventually, a shot does wobble Grant. Kandojko goes in for another shot. It just starts swarming on him. Lands a big combination once again with another left hook. Drops him. He swarms on him. And they stop it as Grant's standing up. And one reason why I wanted to bring this fight up is I wanted to talk about how I think that's still a good stoppage. I just want to kind of voice my opinion here. I don't know if anyone complained about it. Again, I was busy dealing with storms all night, so I missed a lot of the MMA Twitter talks. But I could see people complaining about it, and I'm kind of curious what you guys, the fans, think. As fellow viewers think. As I thought it was a good stoppage. That's just my opinion. Well, that's it for me though. And keep watching, as I'm obviously going to record or recap all the best fights coming up. And this is the INC. Thank you for watching.